Hey guys, welcome back to another video from Harry Potter Folklore, and as always, thank you for your continued support. So as you all know, I've been focusing on Voldemort for my last couple of videos. I've always been super interested in his relationship with Albus Dumbledore and how there was this underwritten connection between the two, despite them not being in each other's company quite a lot. Tom Riddle, despite his obvious goals of achieving immortality and mounting a challenge upon the wizarding world, always had a vendetta against his former teacher. If he could get one over him, then he would. Anyway, as I've just said, if he could better Dumbledore, he'd do it, which is why he enjoyed bragging to him on his return to Hogwarts when seeking out the defense against the dark arts position. However, despite Tom's claims about his magical greatness, Dumbledore never tried to stop him. He didn't do anything at all. He simply let the would-be Dark Lord just up and leave, with the signs so alarming and so obvious that Tom Riddle was now a serious threat to the wizarding world. Even as a student, Tom didn't suffer any heavy investigation by the headmaster. Let's continue the video. Welcome back everyone, so let's get straight to the main talking points. How come Dumbledore never tried to stop Tom Riddle when he returns to Hogwarts? Well, let's look at the relationship between the two to start, because it strengthens my point that Dumbledore knew Tom's character really well. Now, I do believe that Albus feels some sort of guilt for being the one who took Tom to Hogwarts in the first place. I also know he had no way of knowing just how evil and awful the boy in the orphanage would become. But the early signs of his dark behaviour did show with his thievery and his own admittance of being able to hurt the other orphans. Such immature behaviour is normally outgrown as children grow older, which is what I suspect Dumbledore himself believed, as Tom had no proper guidance up until that point. However, he always kept a close eye on him from his very first day at the school. He knew that there was an underlying persona to Tom. What's worse is, Riddle himself knew that Dumbledore knew the real him. All the teachers were fooled by the boy's academic brilliance, a brilliance which in turn helped disguise the monster emerging within. I think the earliest evidence of Dumbledore's lack of aggression with Tom was the framing of Ruby's Hagrid. Tom claimed that Hagrid's pet Acromantula Aragog killed Myrtle Warren, and it was a claim that was accepted by the Ministry of Magic. Hagrid was expelled, his wand taken, and snapped, with the case being closed. The big red question mark over this was bite marks. Why were there no reported bite marks anywhere on Myrtle Warren's body? Why are there no signs of Myrtle even wrapped in some sort of spider web or anything of the sort? Didn't Dumbledore question this at all? Even Myrtle's death by the basilisk was non-violent nor physical. It was his stare that killed someone, which I imagine leaves the body in a similar state to petrifying, not exactly that way, but just stiff and rigid, so wasn't that questioned either. Apparently Dumbledore seen no reason to ask such questions, or there's no record of him doing so. Yeah, he did campaign for Hagrid to have his expulsion overturned, but for someone who was so well respected and had done so much for the wizarding world, nothing. Case closed, as I said. Anyway, we'll move forward, but let me know your opinion on that. I want to know what you guys think. Even as the years followed, despite such a dark aura surrounding Tom, and in addition his request to become Defense Against the Dark Arts Professor immediately after graduation, Dumbledore still failed to act. I'm sure he questioned why an 18-year-old wanted to become the Dark Arts teacher in the first place, but nothing more was thought of it after Riddle's rejection. He disappeared for a decade, which surprised and disappointed many people who had hoped he would live up to his great potential by rising to the top of the ministry ladder, or something even greater. I'm not sure what Dumbledore thought of that himself, but I assume that he knew Tom was far too bright not to continue the practice of magic. When he did return to Hogwarts for a second time, it was a completely different story. His physical appearance was disturbing to say the least, his thick black hair now thinning as it falls out more by the day. His skin, now flaky and pale, seems as if it's wasting to the bone, layer by layer. The strikingly handsome boy that once left Hogwarts so long ago was not the man that stood before his former teacher now. Dumbledore knew immediately that Tom had experimented with dark magic way past the point of any rational thought. He rejected Tom immediately for the position of defense against the dark arts teacher, but still, he took no further action after Voldemort departed Hogwarts that night. Did Dumbledore take his former students' behaviour seriously? After all, despite being in his late 20s at that point, he made little to no impact on the wizarding world, whereas Gellert Grindelwald, for example, had the world at large before the age of 25, with hundreds upon hundreds of followers and supporters. Now, don't think too much into the Grindelwald thing, I'm just using him as an example of where he was at this point in his life. Now, I don't think Dumbledore was silly enough not to take Tom serious, but what exactly could he do? Physically apprehend him for his crimes he may or may not commit in the future? The truth is that Albus had no legitimate reason or proof to actually stop Tom. He only had his intuition and strong suspicions, which unfortunately was not enough to directly challenge him. However, that doesn't mean he couldn't do anything to delay him. By rejecting Tom for the teaching position, he denied him the opportunity to recruit new, fresh, open-minded students who could be easily twisted and warped into following and supporting his cause. It was his way to build an army in the fastest way possible. I'm pretty sure Dumbledore knew that. In conclusion, I think it's important to note that the mystery surrounding Tom Riddle was what built so much confusion around him. It wasn't exactly clear if he was just one man trying to become the greatest wizard of all time, even with the inclusion of dark magic, or if he was determined to change the face of the magical world from the get-go. He kept to himself for 10 years without making a scratch, so it's not exactly Dumbledore's responsibility to act just on intuition. I think what bothers him more than anything is the fact he was right. Every single doubt and suspicion was correct, and that was a hard pill to swallow for Dumbledore. Anyway guys, with that being said, that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As usual, make sure to leave your comments down below and I'll reply to as many as I can. Thanks again for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video. I'd just like to highlight, for those of you who may want to check out my personal life, which does include Harry Potter stuff, that I do have an Instagram where I post lots of photos that you can view. It's also the best way to contact me if you have a question or even a video idea. I may not reply immediately, but I'll try my best to get back to you all. You can check it out from the link in the description below. Enjoy the video. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. Everyone, notifications of uploads are more important than ever. So please, if you haven't already, turn those notifications on to make sure you're notified the moment my video goes live. Making videos is what I love to do, it's my dream and my passion. However, it does cost time and money to produce this content, so if you have $1 to spare to support me on Patreon in exchange for some exclusive unseen content, then you can click the Patreon link below or at the end of this video. Please only support me if you can afford it. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at InstaDNJ and on Twitter at PotterFolklore. Check out my other videos appearing on screen, and please make sure, most importantly, to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again everyone, and please have a great day.